It was a calm afternoon inside the luxurious Aurelian Grand Hotel, a place where marble floors gleamed like mirrors and crystal chandeliers reflected lives untouched by hardship. Soft piano music drifted through the air, blending with hushed conversations of wealth and influence. Among all that elegance stood a timid young waitress named Nora Vallon, quietly adjusting her apron as her hands trembled ever so slightly. She had been working there for just 2 weeks, unnoticed, unheard, and invisible to the guests who rarely acknowledged those who served them. But on that ordinary afternoon, a single moment, a single act of compassion would change her life forever and move even the hardest hearts to tears. If you believe in kindness, empathy, and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Warriors, because stories like this remind us that even the quietest actions can echo the loudest. Nora had always lived softly. Life never offered her the comfort of confidence. She grew up in a modest home where silence was protection, not weakness. Her father walked out when she was 12. Her mother worked endless hours just to keep food on the table. Most evenings, Nora spent her time practicing sign language, not as a hobby, but as an act of love for her younger brother Evan, who was born deaf. That silent language became her refuge, a world where emotions flowed freely without fear of being misunderstood. The Aurelian Hotel was nothing like her world. It was where billionaires, politicians, and elite families gathered beneath golden ceilings. That day, Nora was assigned to Table 7, a private dining space reserved for renowned billionaire Alexander Crowe and his mother, Helen Crowe, a graceful woman adorned in pearls and calm dignity. Alexander Crowe was famous for his sharp mind and ruthless business instincts. To many, he appeared distant and emotionally unreachable. Staff members whispered about him, careful not to cross his path. As Nora approached the table, nerves tightening her chest, she noticed something that made her pause. Helen wasn't responding to the usual questions. Instead, she smiled politely, trying to read lips. Nora then noticed the small hearing device tucked discreetly behind her ear, and how Alexander leaned closer whenever he spoke. Nora's heart tightened. She recognized that rhythm instantly, the dance between sound and silence. Alexander looked up, impatience flashing across his face. He expected speed, professionalism, not hesitation. But before he could speak, Nora took a quiet breath. Her hands steadied. Then she began to sign. Would you prefer still water or sparkling? For a moment, the entire room seemed to stop. Helen's eyes widened. Her hand rose to her chest as emotion washed over her face. Tears shimmered instantly, not from sadness, but from recognition. Slowly, carefully, she signed back. You know sign language? Nora nodded, her smile gentle, her heart racing. Alexander froze. For years, he had watched his mother endure polite smiles, awkward pauses, and silent exclusion. Waiters avoided eye contact. Conversations flowed around her, never through her. Dining out was always a calculated effort to shield her dignity. But now, his mother was laughing, truly laughing, as her hands moved freely with a young waitress who saw her, not her disability. As the meal continued, something beautiful unfolded. Nora didn't just serve food. She built a bridge. She signed menu options, answered questions, even shared small playful gestures that made Helen's eyes sparkle. Guests nearby noticed. Whispers traveled through the dining hall. Alexander didn't care. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about numbers or power. He was watching his mother come alive. For Nora, this wasn't just kindness. It was a memory. With every sign, she thought of Evan, the little boy who once tugged her sleeve for attention. He had passed away 2 years earlier after a long illness. Her hands carried both love and grief now, speaking words her voice no longer could. Through Helen, it felt like she was speaking to her brother one last time. After lunch, Helen insisted on meeting Nora properly. She held Nora's hands tightly, tears glistening. You made me feel seen, she signed. You reminded me I still belong. Nora signed back, her lips trembling. You reminded me that love never fades. The moment felt sacred. Later, Alexander asked Nora to step aside. She feared she'd crossed a line, maybe even broken protocol. But his voice was different. Softer. Humans. He told her how isolated his mother had felt for years. How no one ever made the effort to truly communicate. Then, with visible emotion, He admitted that his mother once taught him empathy, something he'd lost in the pursuit of success. Nora's quiet gesture brought it back. When Nora mentioned her brother, Alexander finally understood the depth behind her hands. Without being asked, he arranged for the hotel to provide free sign language training for all staff, dedicated to Evan's memory. He also offered Nora a full scholarship in special education, telling her the world desperately needed people who could translate silence into understanding. The story didn't stay within hotel walls. Guests shared what they witnessed. Online, the moment became a symbol of quiet humanity, proof that compassion doesn't require wealth or power. Helen returned often, always requesting Nora. Their bond became a living reminder that kindness doesn't need sound to be heard. Weeks later, during a break, Nora stood by the window watching sunlight paint the skyline. She thought of Evan and whispered a silent thank you. The world still tested her, but moments like this reminded her that love always finds its way back, often through strangers who need it just as much as you do. If this story touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Warriors, because the world needs more stories that prove kindness is the strongest language of all. Before you go, tell us in the comments, would you have done what Nora did if you were in her place?